Hey guys, we are going to do a quick lesson about horizontal parabolas today, but before that, we are starting class by going over the two examples we did not get to at the end of the period in your last class. So I am on page 5 of your binder, and I am going to talk about examples 6 and 7. So the first thing in example 6 is that you're given the vertex. So you can pretty much write almost the whole equation just by having the vertex. Now, I left a blank spot here, and that's on purpose. But I know that it's going to be y equals, and then x minus 2, quantity squared, and then plus 1. And then I am just going to try to find this number that goes in front of the parentheses, aka the a value. Now this time they give me the directrix. We did an example where they gave me the focus. Now here's what I know about the directrix. Y equals -3. Well, the -3 comes from the formula k minus p. So I know that the formula k minus p has to give me an answer of -3. But I also know the k value of the vertex is 1. So I can plug that in. And if I subtract over the 1, I get -p equals -4, which leaves me with p equals +4. Now, that's not the number that goes in the front. That's not this number yet. But it tells me what the p value is. So to find the a value, I can do 1 over 4p, which is going to be 1 over 4 times 4, which is 1 over 16. So the a value is 1 over 16, and now I'm done writing the equation. That's the answer. So for example 7, this is a little bit different because this gives me the focus and it gives me the directrix. So for this one, I know that the vertex is going to be the point -3 comma something. And the reason I know that is because the focus will have the same x value as the vertex. Now I know that k plus p has to equal 2. I also know that k minus p has to equal 0. And if you think about it, I mean, there's a lot of ways to do this, and I can even talk about an easier way, but I can actually make a little system here, cancel out the p. I get 2k equals 2, and that gives me k equals 1, which means the y value of the vertex is 1. Now, there was an easier way to do that without the algebra. You could also just in your head think about, all right, well, if the focus is 2 and the directrix is 0, the vertex has to be right in the middle of that, which is going to be 1. So that's another way to think about it. Now, let's see. I now know that the k value is 1, so I can go back and find the p value. I'm going to plug into this one. 1 plus p equals 2. Well, that means that p has to equal 1, which tells me that a is 1 over 4 times p, so a is 1/4. So then I now know that a is 1/4, so I can write my equation. Here's my final answer. Y equals 1/4, parentheses x plus 3, quantity squared, and then plus 1. That's the answer. So that's how we're going to start class, and then we are going to go on to do the notes for the horizontal parabolas. Now, if you're watching this video, that means you weren't in class. So what I'm going to have you do is pause the video and take these notes. So either just take them from the screen freeze that I'm about to give you, or when you press pause, or you can go on to Schoology and just look at the answer key of the notes and copy all of this in. Okay, so again, pause now. Hopefully you've paused, you've written all of this in, and I'm going to quickly talk about it. So these are horizontal parabolas. So horizontal parabolas are going to open this way, or they're going to open that way, okay? And how do I know if a parabola is horizontal from the start? Here's how you know. Instead of y equals, it's going to be x equals, and the y is going to be in the equation being squared. Okay, that's how you know it's horizontal. Now, we find everything pretty much the same way as a vertical parabola, but everything's kind of flipped around. So like, for example, when I do my vertex is still h comma k. However, the h is now the number at the end. That's going to be the first number of your vertex, and the k is the number where you have to change the sign, and that's now the y value. So the way I personally remember that is that the k value is grouped with the letter y. So it's the y value of the vertex, and then it's always these outside ones that go together. So the x value is the h. So be careful of that. Now this time, if you think about it, guys, the axis of symmetry is going to be a horizontal line. So if I have a sideways parabola, then the axis of symmetry is going to be going side to side. Hence, the equation being y equals a number, and that y value is the y value of the vertex. So it's exactly the opposite of what we did with the vertical ones. We're going to open right when a is positive. We're going to open left when a is negative. The formula to find p is the exact same thing. And then this time, though, if you think about it, the parabola is opening side to side. So if I am opening to the right, the focus point is going to be the same y value, but it's going to be a different x value. So I'm actually going to add the p value to the h value of the vertex instead of to the k value of the vertex, because the focus is going to move a little bit to the right, whereas the directrix is now going to be a vertical line because it's perpendicular to the axis of symmetry, and it's going to be to the left of the vertex. So the formula is this: h plus p, comma k for the focus. Again, the focus is an ordered pair, but this time it's moving a little bit to the right of the vertex instead of a little bit up. And this one, the line is moving a little bit to the left of the vertex, so that's h minus p. And again, we're going to use 1a, 3a, 5a, just going sideways instead of up and down. Okay, so let's do our first graphing example. Okay, so a couple things here. Let's start by writing the vertex. Be careful right off the bat. The vertex is going to be 4, comma 3. So let's talk about how I got that. The x value stays the same this time, and it's this number out at the end, and it's this y value that we have to change the sign. Now this is going to open left, and the reason why it opens to the left is because the a is negative. In fact, the a is -2, so my p value is 1 over 4a. So that's 1 over 4 times -2, which is -1/8. Okay, now, sometimes I always forget, like, which is which. So sometimes if I know this is going to open to the left, I draw myself a little sketch to remember, oh, okay, so the axis of symmetry is the horizontal one. Horizontal lines are y equals. The y value of the vertex is 3. For the focus, it's horizontal, so it's h plus p, h minus p. So I always remember horizontal starts with an h, so it's h plus p for the focus, h minus p for the directrix. So let's see, the h value is 4 plus -1/8 is 3 7/8. So my focus is going to be, this is my new x value because it's the x value that's changing. Y value stays the same. And h minus p minus a negative turns to a plus. So it's x equals 4 1/8. So one thing I always do to remember is that whatever the axis letter is, the directrix letter is going to be the opposite one. Okay, let's graph it. Okay, so the vertex is 4, 3, which is right here. This is going to open left. So we're going to go up and down 1 and then left 2. Because the a value is 2, so the pattern is going to be 2, 6, 10. And we're just going to the left instead of to the right. So up 1 over 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is right here. And we now will just connect the dots to draw our parabola. Beautiful. Now, the axis of symmetry is going to go side to side. So y equals 3 was the equation. And my focus is at 3 7/8 on the x, that's right here. And the directrix is at 4 1/8, which is going to be a vertical line. Ooh, very close to 4, not right on there. So I'm going to move it back just a little. But that's it. So it's the same thing, just a lot of like opposites happening. So let's do example 2. Let's do example 2. You can pause and go back if you need to. I'm going to move right on. Okay, so for the next one, we are going to start with the vertex, which is going to be -2, +1. So again, this is my now x value, and the y is +1. Change the sign. This is going to open right because a is +1. There's nothing in front of the parentheses, which is a +1. The p-value is 1/4 times 1, so that's a 1/4. Axis is y equals, the y value is 1. Focus is h plus p. The h is -2 plus p, which is a 1/4. That's -1 3/4. H minus p is going to be -2 1/4. So it's the x value that has changed to -1 3/4. Y value stays 1. And directrix is the opposite letter as the axis, so x equals -2 1/4. The default pattern is 1 through 5. We're going to the right. So let's plot our vertex at -2, 1. Up and down 1, right 1. Up and down 1, right 1, 2, 3, and then 5, but we don't need to do the 5th, that other point. It'll be off the graph anyway. Beautiful. We can move that a little bit. Good enough. Here we go. All right, so now the axis of symmetry goes right through the horizontal line at 1, and the focus, and directrix. The directrix was at -2. Oops. Let's do the focus first then. -1 3/4. That's right here, and then the directrix was at -2 1/4. There it is. All right, so next we are going to talk about 2 more writing equation problems, and it becomes a little bit more challenging because we're going to have to decide if this is going to be a vertical parabola or a horizontal parabola. So, that should say focus. So the vertex is at 2, 6, and think about it, guys. The focus went to 2, 7. So it moved up 1 since it's my y value that changed. So the way that I remember is that there was a change in y, meaning the triangle I just drew means change in. Since it's the y value that changed, this makes this a vertical parabola, which is the kind we just did in the beginning of class. So the vertex, so vertical is y equals, the vertex is 2, 6, and the k plus p has to equal 7, but k is 6. So p is 1, And that means that A is 1 over 4 times P, which is 1/4. So here is the answer to my part A. I did that fast. You can pause and rewind if you need to. But let's take a look at part B. So it says the focus is at -1,4 and the directrix is x equals 3. So the only way to decide if this is horizontal or vertical is using the directrix here. X equals 3 is a vertical line, but think about it. If it's the directrix, what that tells me is that the parabola either has to be going this way or it has to be going this way in order for that vertical line to be there. So this is a horizontal. So the directrix is x equals for horizontal, okay? Now we're gonna do this. So we know, since this is horizontal, that the y value of the focus is going to be the same as the y value of the vertex. Now I know that, not k, h plus p has to equal -1. That's the x value of the focus. And h minus p has to equal 3. That's the directrix. So if I make my little mini system, I get 2h equals 2. So the h is 1. That's the h value or the x value of my vertex. So now I know that h is 1, so I can plug back in to one of these to find the p value. So h plus p, 1 plus p equals -1. And if I subtract over the 1, I get p equals -2. If p equals -2, that means a equals 1 over 4 times p. So a is 1 over -8. Okay, so now we have all the information we need to write the equation. Here's the equation. Be careful. This is horizontal, so it's got to be x equals, my a is -1/8. Careful. This is going to be y minus 4, which is the y value of the vertex, squared, and then plus 1. So that's the final answer for this one. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you have questions, come with them for the next class. Thanks, guys.